Liam received a late-night message from his girlfriend, Sophia. She claimed she was at her ex-boyfriend Derek's house, comforting him because his father had just passed away. The words felt urgent, emotional, almost theatrical, but something in Liam's gut twisted the moment he read them. Sophia hadn't mentioned Derek in months, and now she was suddenly spending the night at his place during a family tragedy. Liam tried to shake off the unease, telling himself he was overthinking. But the more he replayed her message, the more the details didn't add up. Why didn't Derek post anything online? Why did Sophia sound more nervous than sad? And why did Liam feel like the only person in this story who wasn't told the whole truth? Unable to sleep, he opened his laptop and began checking every source he could think of. Within minutes, he discovered the first crack in Sophia's story, one that would unravel everything that came next. Liam stared at the obituary page on his screen, refreshing it again and again. Nothing. No matching names, no recent deaths in Derek's family, not even a distant relative. He switched to Facebook, scrolling through Derek's profile, then Derek's father's profile, then the family members linked to them. Still nothing. No memorial posts, no comments of sympathy, no photos draped in black ribbons. For a family supposedly mourning a sudden loss, they looked strangely normal. Trying to stay calm, Liam opened the website of the funeral home Sophia mentioned. He searched the schedule. There were services for two strangers, an elderly woman and a veteran, but absolutely no one with Derek's last name. His heart began to thump harder, the kind of pounding that comes when a truth is trying to force its way to the surface. He needed something undeniable. He decided to send a bouquet of condolence flowers to Derek's house using a same-day delivery service. He wrote a simple note, "Thinking of you." It felt like a trap, but a necessary one. 2 hours later, his phone buzzed with a notification from the delivery app. Order completed. Then a text message from the driver. Man in his 50s opened the door. He said thank you. Liam froze. A man in his 50s. That could only be one person, Derek's supposedly dead father. The evidence hit him like a punch. Before he could even process it, his phone rang. It was Derek. His voice was jittery, panicked, as if he had just uncovered a bomb in his living room. "Dude, why did you send flowers? What's going on?" Liam's voice stayed steady, colder than he expected. "I heard your dad passed." There was a long, uncomfortable silence. Then Derek whispered, "What? My dad's fine. Who told you that?" Minutes later, Sophia called. She didn't sound sad at all. She sounded caught. She immediately launched into a shaky explanation that the story was misunderstood, that it was Derek's father who died. It was Derek's uncle. A man whose name she couldn't remember. A man whose funeral she conveniently couldn't describe. A man whose death left no trace anywhere online. Liam kept pressing. Every question made Sophia stumble harder. Her breaths grew unstable, her story tangled into knots, and finally, she cracked. She admitted she had gone to Derek's house. She admitted she hadn't told Liam the full truth. But she insisted it wasn't what he thought. Liam felt the room around him go still. He wasn't angry yet, just numb. Because now he knew one thing with absolute certainty. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a deliberate lie. And it was only the first one he had uncovered. When Sophia finally confessed she had gone to Derek's house, Liam expected guilt, remorse, maybe even a tearful apology. Instead, she sounded irritated, like he was the one creating a problem by asking too many questions. That was the moment Liam realized something deeper was rotting beneath the surface. He stayed quiet, letting her talk, hoping the truth would slip out. And it did. Piece by piece. Sophia admitted she had been working through old emotions with Derek. She claimed it was harmless, that she just needed closure, that breaking contact suddenly had been too difficult on her mental health. But Liam's mind kept circling back to the faked death, The frantic lies, the panic in Derek's voice. Something wasn't adding up. When Liam broke up with her over the phone, Sophia didn't react like a heartbroken partner. She reacted like someone losing control of the narrative. Within 10 minutes, she sent 20 messages apologizing, accusing him of overreacting, begging, then insulting, then pleading again. By midnight, the number had reached 82. Every tone imaginable, from victim to villain, all from the same person. It was like watching someone cycle through personas at random. Liam didn't answer a single one. The truth came from somewhere he didn't expect. The next afternoon, he received a message from an unknown number. It was Emily, Derek's girlfriend. She asked if they could talk. Her first sentence was enough to make Liam sit down. "I think you deserve to know what really happened." Emily explained that Sophia had been visiting Derek for months, always under the guise of closure or unfinished conversations. What Sophia described as emotional support sounded a lot more like emotional cheating. And then came the final blow. On the same night, Sophia claimed she was comforting Derek over the death of his father. The two of them ended up sleeping together. Not accidentally. Not in a moment of weakness. But after hours of flirting, reminiscing, and crossing lines they both knew were wrong. Emily had screenshots, texts between Sophia and Derek, selfies they took together that night, timestamps that aligned perfectly with the exact moments Sophia told Liam she was checking on him because he was grieving. Liam felt something inside him sink. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Just a heavy, quiet acceptance. All the pieces finally made sense. Emily sent everything to him. Images, messages, full context. Liam forwarded them straight to Sophia without a comment. She blew up instantly, calling him dramatic, then calling him cruel, then claiming the screenshots were misinterpreted. When that didn't work, she blamed Derek. When that failed, she blamed Emily. But none of it mattered. The truth was out. Not just a lie. Not just a betrayal. But a long, deliberate pattern of deception. A pattern that Liam now saw clearly for the first time. And as Sophia spiraled through denial and damage control, Liam felt something he hadn't expected. Relief. Because now, he finally knew who he had really been dating. After Liam cut ties with Sophia, he thought the storm was over. He was wrong. It had only just begun. Within hours, his phone began buzzing relentlessly. Calls from unknown numbers, blocked numbers, numbers he didn't recognize. It didn't take long to realize they were Sophia's parents. Her mother's voice was sharp, accusing, almost venomous. "You need to forgive her," she demanded. "Everyone makes mistakes, just let it go." Her father chimed in, equally insistent, pleading one moment, threatening the next. Liam tried to explain that the relationship was over, that trust had been broken, but every sentence was met with interruptions, guilt trips, and veiled threats. It was exhausting, relentless, and invasive. Sophia herself showed up at his workplace the next day. She claimed she just wanted to talk and explain. But her eyes darted around nervously, her hands shaking as she tried to corner him. Employees whispered, alarmed by the confrontation. Security eventually intervened, escorting her out after repeated refusals to leave. That should have been the end. It was. Her parents escalated the situation further. They arrived at Liam's apartment, unannounced, pushing past him when he asked them to leave. They claimed they were there to mediate and ensure their daughter was treated fairly. Hours passed with shouting, ultimatums, and threats. Liam had no choice but to call the police, who arrived to enforce the law and get Sophia's family to leave. Even then, the tension didn't dissolve entirely. Messages kept coming, each one more manipulative than the last. Every interaction felt like a psychological attack. Voicemails threatening legal action. Texts accusing him of cruelty, abandonment, and slander. Even neighbors started noticing, whispering about the unusual visits and calls. Liam realized that Sophia wasn't just upset about the breakup. She was trying to turn the world against him. She wanted control, influence, and revenge, and she wasn't stopping at her own actions. She was using her family as weapons. At work, Liam noticed his focus slipping. Every alert on his phone made his stomach knot. Every unfamiliar voice on the line made him tense. It was an exhausting combination of intimidation and emotional manipulation. The reality of Sophia's willingness to pull everyone into her chaos became terrifyingly clear. Yet, through all the chaos, Liam stayed calm. He refused to argue, refused to give in, and refused to respond impulsively. He documented every call, every message, every visit. Evidence became his shield. Patience became his strategy. He understood, more clearly than ever, that this wasn't just about a breakup. It was about control, about power, about proving that he could be manipulated and made to feel guilty for circumstances he didn't create. For the first time, Liam felt the weight of the manipulation in full. Sophia had escalated from lies to emotional warfare. And now, with her parents actively involved, he realized there was only one way to survive. Stay calm, stay documented, and let the chaos expose itself rather than reacting blindly. This was a war of nerves, and Liam was determined to endure. Sophia didn't stop at involving her family. She began reshaping the story in the public eye, casting herself as the victim. Social media posts appeared overnight, portraying Liam as controlling, emotionally abusive, and unfeeling. She wrote long, dramatic captions about surviving a toxic relationship, sharing vague anecdotes that seemed calculated to elicit sympathy. Friends and acquaintances began reacting immediately, many taking her side without knowing the full truth. Liam watched in disbelief as the narrative spun further and further from reality. Instead of defending himself publicly, he chose a different approach. He quietly compiled a timeline of events, screenshots of messages, photos, and dates, detailing Sophia's deception from the beginning. Then he shared the evidence with 5 mutual friends, people who had witnessed parts of the relationship firsthand. Their responses were immediate. They confronted Sophia privately, verifying the inconsistencies and holding her accountable. The backlash grew. A birthday party she had planned, a so-called freedom celebration to mark her escape from Liam, was quietly canceled by attendees who had seen the evidence. Even Derek, exhausted from months of being dragged into Sophia's manipulations, ended their own relationship with her. She had miscalculated, assuming she could control everyone around her, but the chain reaction had begun to unravel her carefully constructed image. Sophia's attempts to sabotage Liam personally escalated next. She called his workplace, alleging misconduct. She reached out to his landlord, fabricating stories about his behavior. She even called his mother, trying to turn his own family against him. Every attempt backfired. The HR department dismissed her claims after seeing evidence. The landlord remained neutral once Liam presented his side. Even his mother recognized the manipulation and supported him. Despite the mounting pressure, Liam remained composed. He didn't need to fight every battle publicly. The truth was his ally. Sophia's lies, once exposed, couldn't survive sustained scrutiny. Each failed attempt at manipulation revealed more about her character than she intended. Her credibility began to crumble as her own actions were documented and verified by multiple witnesses. The contrast between their lives became stark. Liam quietly returned to his routines, maintaining relationships with friends and coworkers. Sophia, meanwhile, found herself increasingly isolated. Her public posts shifted from calls for sympathy to bitter complaints, but fewer people paid attention. Her attempts at control no longer held power, and the momentum of her manipulations slowed to nothing. Through it all, Liam realized the value of patience and restraint. He didn't need to escalate or retaliate. Each of Sophia's schemes collapsed under the weight of truth and evidence. By staying calm and measured, he let reality expose her lies naturally. Her effort to portray him as abusive failed spectacularly. Instead, it highlighted her manipulative behavior to everyone who looked closely. By the end of this phase, Sophia's public persona had shifted from sympathetic victim to someone known for deceit and drama. The people around her, the mutual friends, Derek, even casual acquaintances, began distancing themselves. Liam had survived the storm without losing his integrity. He realized that sometimes the most powerful response wasn't confrontation or anger. It was patience, evidence, and letting the truth speak louder than lies ever could. Even after the public drama settled, Sophia's personal life continued to unravel. She met Jackson, a close friend of Derek, shortly after the breakup. At first, things seemed promising. He was charming, attentive, and seemed genuinely interested in her. Sophia maintained contact with both Derek and Liam, sending messages that mixed apology with manipulation. She told Jackson a fabricated story about being engaged, painting herself as committed and stable, hopping to impress him. Jackson, unaware of her past lies, initially believed her. For 9 days, he tolerated her constant messaging, her controlling behavior, and her half-truths. Then he began noticing inconsistencies, small details that didn't match up. Texts she claimed were innocent revealed a different story when examined closely. He confronted her about her behavior and her dishonesty. Sophia tried to deflect, gaslight, and blame external circumstances, but it didn't work. Jackson realized he had been misled and ended the relationship, citing manipulation and deceit as the reasons. Sophia's frustration grew. Unable to maintain a stable relationship, she turned to the internet to rewrite the narrative. She started a blog called Dating While Healing, positioning herself as a victim and accusing Liam of emotional manipulation and control. Her words painted him as a villain, while she crafted a sympathetic, misunderstood persona. The blog gained some attention, but Liam and Emily acted quickly. They created a website presenting a detailed account of events, complete with screenshots, messages, and timelines that disproved every claim Sophia made. The evidence was clear, public, and irrefutable. Under pressure, Sophia's blog began to lose credibility. Readers who initially sympathized with her started questioning the accuracy of her posts. Comments reflected doubt, confusion, and criticism. Friends, mutual acquaintances, and even strangers could see through her fabrications. Within a short time, the blog was forced to shut down, and Sophia's platform for spreading her version of the story collapsed. Her personal relationships suffered further. Former friends who had been supportive began distancing themselves. People recognized patterns of manipulation and refused to be drawn into her chaos. Even casual social connections treated her cautiously, aware of her history of deceit. Sophia's attempts to regain trust or maintain influence over others were largely unsuccessful. The isolation became more pronounced as her reputation spread. Her failed relationships, online drama, and exposed lies created a consistent pattern. Liam observed from a distance as Sophia's behavior continued to alienate those around her. Her actions, once calculated to control and dominate, now worked against her. Every attempt to manipulate someone new only reinforced her history of dishonesty. By the end of this period, Sophia had lost multiple social connections, relationships, and credibility. Jackson, Derek, Liam, and even her casual acquaintances remained wary or completely disengaged. The blog closure marked a turning point, making it clear that her manipulative tactics could no longer succeed in public or private spheres. Liam and Emily's commitment to truth had effectively contained the fallout, leaving Sophia to face the consequences of her choices alone. Through it all, Liam witnessed the natural consequences of persistent deception and manipulation, realizing that honesty and patience were far more powerful than anger or retaliation. Sophia's life continued to spiral as the consequences of her actions became unavoidable. Job opportunities she had once hoped for slipped through her fingers. Employers, after conducting background checks or hearing references from mutual contacts, turned her down due to her history of dishonesty and manipulative behavior. Each rejection left her more frustrated and isolated, reinforcing the cycle of anger and blame. Her friends and former romantic partners gradually distanced themselves. Derek maintained a cautious distance, unwilling to engage with her drama. Jackson had completely cut ties, unwilling to be involved with someone so unpredictable. Even casual acquaintances avoided interactions, having learned through word of mouth about the patterns of deceit in her life. Sophia attempted to salvage what remained of her personal connections. She sent messages to family, friends, and colleagues, trying to explain herself or rewrite the narrative once more. In each message, she emphasized her victimhood, claiming the world had misunderstood her. Few responded, and even fewer offered sympathy. Her parents, once protective and controlling on her behalf, eventually withdrew their support, frustrated with her inability to take responsibility for her actions. Financial stability also became an issue. With job offers rescinded and family support limited, Sophia was forced to return to her hometown. She found a position at a small insurance company owned by a relative. The work was mundane and far from the career she had imagined for herself. She struggled to adjust, realizing that her past choices had directly led to this situation. Socially, Sophia was increasingly isolated. No one wanted to date her, as rumors and verified accounts of her past behavior had spread widely. Her attempts to connect with new people were met with skepticism or avoidance. The freedom and excitement she once sought through manipulation and deceit were replaced with loneliness and regret. Finally, Sophia sent an email to Liam with the simple subject line, "You won." In it, she detailed her losses, her failures, and her new reality. Liam read it quietly, without anger or celebration. He responded with a single thought. This wasn't about a single lie or mistake. It was about a long chain of choices she had made, each one building upon the last, until her life reflected the consequences of her decisions. Liam's own life had stabilized. He had begun a new relationship with Ava, someone trustworthy and kind. His friendship with Emily had strengthened, and together they continued to maintain boundaries that protected them from Sophia's influence. The drama that once consumed his world had become a memory, a story to recount with clarity and understanding. As for Sophia, her story became a cautionary tale. She had the power to manipulate, deceive, and control, but she had used it recklessly. Ultimately, she was left to face the outcomes of her choices. Liam realized that revenge was unnecessary. By acting with integrity, patience, and restraint, he allowed the consequences of her own actions to unfold naturally. Sophia's life, once full of potential and opportunity, had been reshaped entirely by the chain of deception she had created. And in that quiet realization, Liam understood the full weight of accountability and truth. Liam's life slowly returned to normal. The constant stress and uncertainty that Sophia had brought into his world faded, leaving space for clarity and peace. He began focusing on his own happiness, reconnecting with friends, and investing in relationships that were built on trust and honesty. Ava, his new girlfriend, became a steady presence, someone who supported him and shared his values. His friendship with Emily also strengthened, built on a foundation of shared experience and mutual respect. Together, they often looked back at the drama with a sense of disbelief and even humor. The flower shop incident, once a source of tension, became a story they laughed about during casual conversations. A reminder of how far they had come. Sophia, on the other hand, lived in isolation. Her past choices had alienated friends, family, and potential partners. She faced the consequences of her actions daily, learning firsthand how deceit and manipulation erode opportunities and relationships. Liam reflected on the entire ordeal and realized something profound. He had not needed to retaliate, yell, or fight back aggressively. By remaining patient, honest, and composed, he had allowed the truth to reveal itself. The lessons were clear. Integrity and restraint often carry more power than vengeance, and people ultimately face the outcomes of their own decisions. Life moved forward, and Liam had reclaimed peace, trust, and happiness on his own terms.